What's up, guys? This is Bolt Struck with Duck, and today we're going over the LA Chargers schedule and my record prediction for 2024. Okay, so getting into this, my philosophy for how I'm going to calculate the record is based on just historical trends, what I know the Chargers typically do, and then obviously how good the teams are. So the Chargers this year, at least according to strength of schedule, based off of win percentages from last year, is not very strong, meaning the Chargers have a pretty easy schedule, which is good. And then a couple other things to consider is the Chargers do tend to blow some weird divisional games. Divisional games happen, so there might be a weird divisional L in there. Luckily, it is a new regime, so hopefully those trends don't carry over, but just kind of some of my basic thoughts, but let's get right into it. So, week 1 at home against the Raiders, I'm going to call that a dub. I just think Jim Harbaugh is not going to come out flat in week 1. He's got a long time to prepare for this game. The Raiders, I don't even know if they know who's starting week 1 at quarterback. I think just Jim Harbaugh with preparation against a defensive coach, not a great roster. I think we win that game. And then week 2 is away at the Panthers. Should win that game. Don't think I need to explain too much. No offense, Panthers fans. Week 3 in Pittsburgh. This one's a little tricky because the Steelers are a very weird team. I think getting them early in the season might be good because is Russell Wilson still starting? Is Justin Fields starting? Are they still figuring out their offense? So I'm going to say this is a W, and especially, again, playing them early. It's at Pittsburgh. It's not going to be snowing, so that shouldn't be too much of a factor. I'll say that's a W. Going into week 4, at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to say that's an L. For whatever reason, we tend to play the Chiefs better in Arrowhead. And then just as of how I've ranked it so far, just coming in 3-0 against the Chiefs, that just seems like an inevitable letdown loss, right? It's hard to go 4 weeks in a row with a win, especially against the defending Chiefs. And I know the Chiefs, have Andy Reid. They tend to be a really good, they're a good team all year, but they're really, really good early. When they have time to prepare, they're fresh. So that's probably the first L of the season. And then typically early buys aren't good, but maybe coming off of an L, giving some extra time to prepare, the early bye week might be beneficial. From there, we go into Denver in week 6. This is where, again, Denver kind of plays us weird. I do think this is a W, though. I just think still early in the season where, assuming Bo Nix is playing, probably not, the offense probably hasn't clicked yet. Just the Denver roster isn't great. I think that's a dub. And then we go into Monday Night Football in Arizona against the Cardinals. This one's a little tricky because we did have the bye week a couple weeks ago. So this one's tricky because Jim Harbaugh's first primetime game with a little extra preparation. This one's really a toss-up. You guys will have to help me out in the comments, letting me know what you think. I'm going to call this I'll call this a W for now. I might come back to this depending on where the record's at. It might be one of those games that just feels inevitable to lose. But for now, we'll call it a W. Move on. Week 8 at home against the Saints. I think that's a W. That could be a tricky one. The Saints are kind of a weird team. They didn't have as horrible of a record last year as people might remember. I do think we win that game. And then we are in Cleveland for week 9. To me, that feels like a loss. Cleveland's just a sneaky team. They have a great pass rush. They have Nick Chubb, even if Deshaun Watson doesn't play great. And then playing in Cleveland is always tough. And then especially, I think if we're riding that 3-game win streak, I just think Cleveland's a funky L in there. Week 10, Tennessee at home. I think we get a win. I think the Titans will be much better than people anticipate. But I do think coming off of a loss from Cleveland, we can get the win in Tennessee. Week 11 at the Bengals. This is tricky because we got the Bengals at the worst time to get them because Joe Burrow is a slow starter and he's injury prone. But smack dab in the middle of the season isn't the best time because he'll be most likely healthy, fingers crossed for him, and not rusty. He typically plays really, really bad weeks 1, 2, sometimes 3 and 4. So we'll see. He did have that weird wrist thing this off season. That is probably Joe Burrow is winless against the Chargers in his career. I will call that a loss right there. And then we have Monday Night Football against the Ravens, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. Another tricky one, because obviously really, really good team. We do get the extra preparation coming off a loss. Obviously, Harbaugh's going to want to beat up on Harbaugh, right? Brother on brother violence from both directions. The Ravens are just a really good team. Kind of weird in the season. Monday Night Football. I'm just going to say probably a loss. The Ravens are a good team. It's getting into this week 11-12 like we were talking about with the Bengals, where it just really depends on health. The health for both teams. Momentum's a big thing. So maybe a loss there. And then going into Atlanta week 13, I do think this is a win. Atlanta's going to be much improved. I just kind of see Atlanta maybe starting hot and then just a young team, just, a couple losses, getting a little discouraged, realizing, bright future, probably not this year. I think we take the dub against Atlanta. Week 14, Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. Oddly enough, I think this is a win. I think the Chiefs, for whatever reason, we play the Chiefs better at Arrowhead. It's Sunday Night Football. You're kind of getting into must-win territory for either the division or the playoffs. I think we can sneak out a win against the Chiefs. Even though we don't have a great record against them in the Mahomes era, we play them pretty close. I think we'll probably split the series with the Chiefs. For some reason, my gut tells me it's in Arrowhead. Week 15 against the Bucks. I think we take a win there. I just think our roster is better. I think riding a little momentum from the Chiefs game, I think we get a win there. Same logic, week 16 at home against the Broncos. I think that's a win. I do think we're going to sweep the Broncos this year. Week 17 at the Patriots, just not a great team. I do think we beat the Patriots. And then week 18 at the Raiders. So week 18 is always a weird one because you never know if you're resting people for the playoffs. Divisional games are always weird. We always play a funky game against the Raiders once a year. So let me just kind of add up this tally so far and kind of see where we're at. So we have a loss against the Chiefs week 4. We have a loss against the Browns week 9, loss against the Bengals week 11, loss against the Ravens week 12. And that is 4 losses. So to me, with that Cardinals one being an iffy, I am going to flip that Cardinals week 7 to a loss. It just seems like we need another fluky loss in there. Not need it, but it seems inevitable. So I'd say going into the Raiders game with 5 losses. So we're 11-5. So that's probably not enough to rest with the Chiefs in there. If this was the old Chargers team, I would say this is a loss. I can't see Jim Harbaugh going into the playoffs on a loss. I'm going to be, this is obviously very optimistic, but I'm going to call that a W. So that would be a 12-5 record is my prediction. Ceiling, I would say ceiling is probably 13-4. And then if we're 12-5, I would say the floor is probably 9-8. There's a couple, like we could easily split the series with the Broncos, so there's an extra loss in there. Could lose the series with the Chiefs. The Titans, the Saints, the Bucks can be a little frisky. So I'm gonna roll with a 12-5 record prediction, 13-4 ceiling, 9-8 floor. So probably biased because that's obviously a very good record, but you guys let me know. Are there any fluky losses I might have missed? Was I overconfident? What's your guys' record, and what game do you disagree with me the most? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like the video if you like the video, subscribe for more Chargers content, and click to the right to watch another Chargers video. Thanks.